In just 45 days, 29 people have died at a New York City nursing home hit hard by coronavirus. And this is an issue throughout the state. According to an NBC News investigation, coronavirus deaths in New York nursing homes more than doubled in the last week. NBC News correspondent Ron Allen joins me now. And Ron, the New York Times was the first to report on the deaths at Sapphire Center for Rehabilitation. Has that facility responded to what's going on there?
The short answer is no. We've been calling, and we also tried to get an answer from state officials about all this, and no. And that's the big problem for the families, for the local leaders in that community who have been trying to figure out what's going on there. These deaths happened over a period of about 45 days. The one thing that we have heard is from a consultant, a man described as a consultant to the facility, who said in a statement that he's head of a healthcare facilities association. If it is 29 deaths, it's a tragedy, and everyone is a life. But during a pandemic like this, it would not be an aberration. As stunning and shocking as those numbers are, we will see more of it at assisted living facilities. The problem, though, of course, is that a lot of families are just not getting the answers that they want. And though the number is 29 that's out there now, there are some people in the community, families and others, who think that the number could be much higher because they can't account for everybody who they believe is in the facility. Allison?
Yeah, Ron, what have relatives there been telling you? I mean, it sounds like they're having a hard time getting information on their loved ones, understanding what's going on, and knowing if their family members are doing okay.
Yes, and some are finding out the worst of possible news. We met a woman named Leona Figuera, who lost her 69-year-old sister, Bridget, about a week or so ago. And she said that she called up for a regularly scheduled FaceTime call with her sister, and that's when she was told that her sister had passed. And she was, as you might imagine, just livid. And she went to the hospital, to the nursing home, to try and find answers. Here's a bit of our conversation with her.
Nobody called me. So I came over here with my mask and I entered the lobby and they told me I couldn't come in, but the administrator made a phone call and they brought down a gown for me to go upstairs. And I was able to go upstairs and allowed to go into the room where my sister was lying with the curtain pulled and a sheet over her. And there was a nurse in there and I asked her if I can come in and she said yes. And I said, would you take the sheet off? And I saw my sister lying dead there.
Just an absolutely horrifying, for lack of a better word, circumstance to go through. She doesn't know the cause of death. She suspects it was because of COVID-19, but is not sure. And again, she's not getting the answers from the owners of the facility. And again, we've been making inquiries. A local state assemblyman is making inquiries. The mayor's office. A lot of people are all over this trying to understand what's going on. The facilities, the nursing homes and long-term care communities in this state and New Jersey and elsewhere are obviously dealing with an incredible set of circumstances. And it's unclear exactly what's gone wrong here. The problem is, and the concern now is trying to get a lot of these communities the resources they need, the equipment, the staff, because a lot of staff aren't showing up because they have to deal with sickness and death of their own, in their own families and communities. So it's just a really terrible situation that we're hearing about again and again and again in a lot of places. Allison?
Ron, I know this may be a difficult question to answer because you've been having trouble getting any information from Sapphire, but do you have any sense of what they're doing to try to protect their other residents, to keep people there who are alive, to keep them alive?
Well, we know that the state and the counties here in New York and in New Jersey and elsewhere have issued regulations. They're trying to basically separate residents who test positive from others. It's a difficult thing to do because most of these places are relatively small and compact to begin with, so you don't have a lot of places to work with. There are cleaning protocols that they're supposed to be going through. They've banned visitors from coming in, which is why a lot of people have not been able to see their loved ones for the better part of a month to 6 weeks. And not seeing, not being able to communicate, that creates a lot of worry, fear, and anxiety, and it's an awful place to be. So they're trying to do things like that. They're also trying to get more personal protective equipment as well. And there's a staffing issue because, again, this virus hits workers as well, and they have issues to deal with in their own lives, and it just goes on and on and on. There are, in New York, I know that the Attorney General is looking into a situation in the nursing home that we were at the other day. Here, the governor and others are calling for an investigation of nursing homes and what can be done. But again, right now, in the midst of this pandemic, the goal is to try and get the resources that these communities need so that they can help people survive. And we'll figure out later what went wrong. Allison?
Ron, thanks so much. And I just want to thank you once again. Another week has passed. You've been on with us, it seems like every single day. And I know that you're in some of the hardest hit areas. You're reporting on death and sickness with a mask on day in and day out. And we know in doing that, you're also putting yourself in harm's way. And I just want to thank you so much for all you're doing to make sure that we're getting our viewers the news that they need. So, Ron, thanks so much. I hope you get a bit of a break this weekend.
Thank you. Take care.
With more than 75,000 confirmed coronavirus cases, New Jersey is the second hardest hit state in the country behind New York. Both states have extended their stay-at-home orders until May 15th, and now authorities in one small New Jersey city are taking social distancing measures to new heights.
Please move away from each other and separate. You are not immune to this virus. You should not be congregating in groups and must be keeping a safe distance of at least 6 feet.
NBC News correspondent Rahima Ellis joins me now from Elizabeth, New Jersey. And Rahima, how are people, or police rather, using these drones there in Elizabeth?
Well, what they're doing, Allison, is this is part of their supplement, if you will. It's taking another step in their effort to try and make certain that people maintain the warning about social distancing, all in an effort to keep people as safe as possible. This is a community you mentioned. It's a small community, city of 130,000 people with 350 officers. And as the mayor said, they can't be everywhere all the time. And even when someone asks them to respond to a situation where people might be gathering in groups, it might be hard for them to get there. And so the drones, again, are this supplement to that police force to go out and broadcast from the air this message that you just heard of people being told to keep their distance, to separate, and to abide by this warning to maintain social distancing, and all in an effort to keep people as safe as possible. Allison?
So what happens if you're caught by one of these drones breaking social distancing rules in the city? What are the penalties there?
Well, you could be issued a summons and then a fine of up to $1,000. And I asked the mayor, isn't that kind of harsh, particularly at a time when so many people are out of work, not working? Some of them are getting paid, but there are a number of other people who may not be getting paid. And he responded by saying, this is all about saving lives. And if a summons or a fine can be an incentive to people to keep their distance, they're going to go that distance in making that effort. Allison?
How are the residents there reacting? Because I'm sitting here thinking, well, this is certainly a creative idea, but I probably feel that way because there isn't a drone flying over me. What's the reaction from residents who are living with this?
For some of them, it's a little off-putting, if you will. One resident said that he thought it was a little bit like Big Brother, that he called it an invasion of privacy. Another resident said, you do what you have to do. And she told me that she was appreciative of the city taking these measures because if they keep one person safe, it's a potential to keep everyone safe. But the mayor says he's heard it all. He's even gotten phone calls from people saying that this community is being treated as if it were a communist state. He says he's not paying attention to any of the criticisms because he's got one thing in focus, and that is taking the measures, taking the steps, going the extra distance, whatever he can do to keep people safe in this city.
Is this drone program unique to Elizabeth, or is it happening in other places in the country?
There are about 100 of these drones that have been donated to authorities in 22 states. It's a company out of China called DJI, and they have added these drones to the law enforcement capability, as I mentioned, to authorities in some 22 states. And they say their objective is all about trying to reinforce this message of social distancing. And drones, if you know, have been used in other situations for rescue purposes, to go into places where authorities can't travel easily. That's what they want to use the drones here for, Allison, as well. It's not just for the regular patrolling of the streets, but these drones are designed to go into alleyways and backyards and places where people might congregate that if you're just driving down the street in a patrol car, you might not see. So they're also encouraging residents to engage in that policy of see something, say something. And in this case, call the police and let them know that something might be happening in a yard, along a riverside, in a ballpark, in a playground, that police may not be able to see just by simply patrolling the area, and they want to inform authorities that is going on. That's the situation that these drones are being used in. It would then be deployed to go over that area and to issue that broadcast warning from the drone for people to separate and to engage in social distancing. Allison?
Lots of new ways technology is being used to keep us safe. Thanks for letting us know what's going on there in Elizabeth, Rahima. Appreciate it.
You bet.